Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we find ourselves in a fantasy world where a portal brings together different ages, technologies, items, magic, and species in a fierce battle for riches and glory. You'll take control of a hero, each with their own agendas, to hunt monsters and battle other players' heroes, trying to win the most Shadow Stones. Shadows, Heroes, and Monsters is a competitive deck-building, collectible card game for 2 to 3 players. It takes 40 to 100 minutes to play, is for ages 14 and up, and is published by Kuhn Games. Now it's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are not final, they're prototypes. To see all the most up-to-date art and components, check the Kickstarter link in the description of this video. At the beginning of the game, each player gets to select one of these heroes, and each of these heroes have their own stats for strength, tech, magic, and health. But they also come with their own deck of cards. The object of the game is to have the most Shadow Stones. Now, not only are you playing against another player's heroes, as in player versus player, you're also playing against the environment in the way of monsters. Now, there's different levels of monsters. These are level 1 monsters. Over the course of the game, you'll be going against tougher monsters like level 2, all the way up to level 3 monsters. Now, the game's going to end when someone has 9 Shadow Stones, or you've gotten through the level 3 monster. However, you're only going to be fighting one monster of each level, and you're going to be fighting them in order, and you won't know which ones will be coming up. Each player is also going to get 2 secret mission cards that they'll look at and choose one. There's going to be an endgame goal to get you some more Shadow Stones, like if you hold 5 items or more, you'll collect 1 Shadow Stone at the end of the game. Or if you killed the level 1 monster, you'll collect 1. So you'll select one of these to be secret. The other players won't know about this. So at the beginning of the game, you'll get yourself set up. You'll have your hero here. Each hero will end up drafting a basic item that will be going here. You have your secret mission that we talked about. You'll have your starting deck that we talked about. And each of the heroes have some special cards as well. For example, this one has this Hunter's Roar that goes in this special spot here, and they have a flat-footed card that always goes here. Now there's also a deck of library cards. Now these cards typically will look like this, but I placed this here that you can play with a beginner set, which tells you if you're playing with specific heroes, this is the recommended set of cards that you want to use that I've put into that library deck. These are cards you're going to be able to add into your normal deck a little bit later in the phases. However, you can use booster packs where you'd use a couple of these and you take certain skill cards out of there and you'll be drafting from these booster packs to make every game feel different and give you that collectible card game feel. Now the game is played over multiple rounds and each round goes through 6 phases. The first phase is the team up phase. Now one player is going to have this leader card and you don't do this in the first round of the game, but normally each player will gain either an experience point or gold. This player gets, the one that's leader gets to decide what all the players get, 1 experience or 1 gold. Now you don't do this in the first round, but experience is going to help you get cards from your library into your deck that we've been talking about. Gold's going to help you buy more items to be able to do more things and work your way up in the different stat tracks. However, they are going to be also able to select a monster action card for each player. Now remember, you're starting with a randomized level 1 monster. Now there's a deck of monster cards, and these cards basically have these icons on the back sides of them like this, and this shows you what this will do when that card's there. The leader gets to take 1 card per player. In this case, if we're just playing two players, you would take 2 of these cards and they deal 1 face down to the other player and 1 to themselves, so they know what the monster is going to do at a certain part of the round. Then you'll go to the plan phase where you have a specific hand size depending on which monster you're at. Level 1 monster, you get a hand size of 3, and when you get to level 2 and 3 monsters, you'll be having 4 or 5 hands of cards. So you have 3 cards. So you have to look through your entire deck here and select any of the 3 cards that you want. Keeping in mind that as the game goes on, you're going to be able to go through your library of cards and add some of these to your deck, giving yourself more strategy and more options. After the plan phase, you go to the combat phase, which has initiative steps, 6 of them. Let's say these are the 3 cards that I selected. These would be secretly in my hand. Now this shows us our initiative steps here. This is 1, 2, 4, and 5. We're going to go through 6 steps. First we go to initiative step 1, and the leader will play all their skill cards with 1. If they don't have any, they'll just say, I don't have any, or skip. Then it goes to the other player's turn, and then the same type of thing. If they have one, they'll then play it. If you have more than one, you'll play one face up, you'll play the other ones face down, and you'll resolve them in that order that you want, face up, then face down. So in this case, we go to initiative step 1. Now, this goes to the combat field because it's a predict, right? This is going to say predicting a 4 or 5. This allows me to predict whether the opponent, in this case on a successful prediction, I'm predicting another player has at least an initiative card of a 4 or a 5, and I have to decide which one. So let's say I say, you know what, I predict you have an initiative card of 4. And let's say they said, yes, yep, I do have a 4. Well, I'm going to gain an experience point, which I'll place right here. You have experience points, gold, things that you can hold there. But then the target's hero loses 1 health and the monster loses a health. So this hero would put one of their own damage markers on it to keep track of how much they have 7 health, but now with the damage they have only 6 left. However, I'll put one of my own damages on the monster because there could be different players' damages here. 5 health, now it's down to 4. So let's say then that's my only number 1 card. So then we ask the other player, do you have a number 1 initiative? They say, nope, I don't have one. So then we go to 2. The leader's going to go. Now again, you can decide to play or not. If you didn't want to play the card, you don't have to, especially if you had multiples of them out. So I have 2. This is an attack. You're going to deal damage this much towards a target. Now here we have the strength of 3, so we can deal 3 damage. But over the course of the game, you're going to be getting different item cards and things. They're going to start stacking over here. So if I had the Doomclaw, for example, this would be 3, 4. So you're going to be starting to gain stats of different things, depending on the different items you get throughout the game. Now remember, we had a strength of 3. Now they have a chance to respond, so they're going to use a card that they were holding for their 5 initiative, and they can play it because it's a response and they're going to an attack. So here they're going to block this much damage, and their tech is 2. So they're going to block 2 damage and use a shield for an ally. So they're essentially going to block 2 of the damage of the 3. So they're still going to take 1 damage, but they'd block 2 more damage if it was a blue 2 skill. Also, if it was used as a response, they'd gain a gold there. So let's look at this, blue 2 skill. It was a red 2 skill, so they don't get to block that extra damage, but they would have if it was a blue 2 instead of a red 2. And since that target did use a response, I won't get this XP. So now that we did our initiative 2, we asked the other player, do you have an initiative 2 card? Let's say yes, I have a blue 2 magic missile. They get to deal magic damage to a target. 3 of them. If the target didn't use a response, gain an XP. Now if you remember, at the beginning of the round, we as the leader placed strategically this card, this monster card, next to the other hero there. And so whenever you do an attack, now there's different ways that you can hurt a monster. You could do traits, as we showed you earlier. It could be spells, it could be attacks. Anytime you do an attack, this card will flip regardless. So this has that symbol there, and that's going to block 2 damage. Now it was going to do their magic damage, which was 3, so now it's only going to do 1. Now that hero will place their damage counter here. Now it's a race to beat the monster, which means it has 5 health, but it's the first one to deal 5. So the blue hero here, it got him down to 4, but so do we. So his independent health depending on which player is hitting them, and you're trying to be the first to deliver 5 damages to them. Now for every attack card you play, let's say in a future play, they played another attack card. Well, another card would come off the top of the deck of one of these, and so every time you attack the monster, they're gonna have some sort of response card there. However, we've just finished the initiative round 2. We're gonna go to initiative 3, and this is different. If you have not flipped over the monster card here because we didn't attack it yet, at that point it is going to get flipped over. And this was this type of spell, and so our hero would lose 1 health. And we'd track our own damage here. I now have 8 health left. So let's say we get past 3 because no one played any cards with 3. The monster did its thing. And so now we have 4, and I'm going to play this because it's a spell. It goes in my combat field. We get to gain a gold and discard and replace it with 2 items in the market. And again, gold is tracked here, and it's going to allow us to buy cards from the market. Now you can do that up to 2 cards, and let's say, you know what, let's remove this one that has to do with predicting the monster will lose a health if we do that, and then we'll take 1 off the top of the deck, and we'll place it like that. Life potion, this is going to allow us to recover 3 health if we get that. So you keep going in that initiative step till you get through all 6 initiative steps. Then you're going to go to the build-up phase. The first thing you do is collect. Now, I've been collecting these in my inventory field. These actually don't go here till now. They'd actually go on the cards that got them there during the play. But now we'll move them to our inventory field. This is what we have. Now, we don't have enough gold, but let's say we did and we were able to buy this plasma generator. Now this is cool, as I showed you earlier. Now we have 2 tech, 1 and 1. It gave us another health, and it gives us a sort of a shield. And if we were going to be taking damage, instead we could put, in this case, up to 1 damage on this shield here. It sort of stops it from us taking it. Now for each card you buy from the market, you do get the Shadow Stone. Remember, you're trying to have the most of these at the end of the game. And if someone gets 9 of these, that will be the end of the game towards the end of the round. And you'll keep going back and forth, possibly buying cards from the market. Then, based on your experience points, you'll be able to study and go through your library and possibly use those experience points to get cards into your deck. And I've just splayed them out here for you because you can look through these at any time. And again, you're going to spend 3 experience points to gain a card. And when you do that, for each one that you do spend 3 and get a card, you'll get a Shadow Stone. It's another way to get those sort of points, if you will. Now, feel free, I'm not going to go through what all these cards do, but feel free if you want to see all the details, just pause here and read what all the different cards do. However, I will point out that even though these go into your deck, you still have to meet certain requirements in order to play the cards next round, like having 5 strength or 7 health. And then you'll go through a cleanup phase, putting cards back in your deck and clean up the area and do different things like that. Then you go to the refresh phase, where if the monster had been killed, you would bring out the next monster. And you'd also refill the market deck. Now, if during the previous phase, the cleanup phase, someone had 9 of these Shadow Stones, or the level 3 monster had been defeated, then the game is going to essentially end. And we're going to look at your secret mission. If you kill the level 1 monster, collect 1 and then end the game. And there'll be certain things like that, and then whoever has the most Shadow Stones at that point is the winner. Now, one thing I haven't covered yet is knocking down an opponent. You're never defeated, but let's say the other opponent hit me enough to make me have no health left. There's 9 damage, I have 9, the shield took damage. Now, I am essentially knocked down. Now, that player who knocked me down is going to get a gold and experience points, but they're going to have to take a bounty card. And this is bad because if now this person gets knocked down, the opponent gains 1 more gold for the knockdown reward. And there could be multiple cards. So for every bounty card, the player that knocks you down is going to get more gold because there's a bounty on you. I do want to cover a couple more concepts in the game. There's a card that everyone has called Flat-Footed. Now, your hero, if it takes all damage from any one attack without using shields or a response, you can then flip the card, and now you have it on the dodge side. And so this can be used as a response this round, which will help you respond to an attack and block damage for you. But then once you use it, it goes back to Flat-Footed. If it gets to the end of the round and you haven't used it yet, you'll essentially flip it over, but you'll gain 1 health from it. Now there's some other cards like creature cards, and these are essentially another entity that you can control like your hero card. They're known as an allied entity that allow you to do different things. And as you can see, this one gets summoned during the initiative phase at 6. Of course, you would need to have had that card in your hand in the planning phase, where some of the other ones will get summoned by the monster. Now there's a lot more going on in this game, lots of interactions with the cards and abilities and such, but that's at a pretty high level of how it works. So let me just show you the hero that we've already seen, but some of the cards of hers that we have not seen yet, and then I'll show you the other 2 heroes in their main decks. So feel free to pause and read all the details of the cards if you wish. And here's the last hero with some of the unique cards that you haven't yet seen. Well, there you have shadows, heroes, and monsters. And as I showed in the overview, it's a player versus environment game with elements of deck building, trading card games, and resource management. Now, if you'd like to see the most up-to-date art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me right in the description of this video. Now, that's going to take you directly to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Kuhn Games would love your support.